the fact that I was autistic, getting diagnosed, was what helped me to, which helped me to heal really from gender dysphoria. Maybe not heal isn't the right word, but like it alleviated it as I understood my autism, because it just explained it all. And so I was looking into, when I found out that I had autism, when I got diagnosed, I started looking into the neuroscience of it, because obviously autism is a neurodevelopmental condition. And so I started looking into neurodevelopment. I read this brilliant book by Professor Sir Simon Baron-Cohen of Cambridge University. He's like the world leading authority on autism, really, or one of them. But he's also like world leading in cognitive sex differences. So the way men and women's brains work differently.
So he's about 5 minutes away from getting cancelled.
That's true enough, yeah. So I was reading his book. He wrote a book called The Essential Difference, which if it were brought out 10 years ago, probably would have been torn to shreds. But it was I think it's about 20 years old now. But he basically distills all of the scientific literature on the differences between the way men and women think into this, very readable book. And I'd recommend anyone to read it. But one of the things that I learned in that book was the differences between men and women in terms of what's called empathizing and systematizing skill sets. And so like this is just putting a scientific label on what we already know, which is that generally speaking, the majority of men are more interested in things and concepts and systems and like problem solving and that. And the majority of women are less interested in that and more interested in the kind of emotional side of life, relationship building, looking after children, nurturing, building that kind of thing. And so yeah, I think summed up really, it's that most men are more interested in things and most women are more interested in people. And those are the bell curves. And obviously there's outliers, which we'll come back to. But anyway, so then I learned about the extreme male brain theory of autism, because the amazing thing that the combining his two fields of autism and cognitive sex differences is that if you look at the brain of someone with autism, their brain is like an exaggerated version of the male brain, right? So really high systematizing, really low empathizing, and that's the same for men and women. I mean, I've got a little graph that I can put up, but it shows the differences that, you've got the men and the women. The men are less empathic and the women are more empathic, but they're quite similar. And then down the other end, you've got really unempathic men and women with autism. Anyway, obviously, to learn that the autistic brain is like a male brain on crack, started to answer my questions, because I think before that I'd thought there was something wrong with me, like I was deeply ashamed because I felt like a failure as a woman before, which was one of the reasons I ran away from it, because I had such low levels of empathy. I'm in like the second percentile for compassion. So 100 people in a room, there's like one person with less compassion than me, and that's way lower than the average for a male, let alone a female. And so I'm a Christian, as you well know, a top level Chriso, as you call me. And for me, one of the really important things to do is to love people and to be loving. And I think again, like that's probably why I got involved with feminism, because at the time I was like, I want to fight, I want to do the right thing, I want to make the world better for women. But yeah, so this injunction to be loving was so important to me, but I didn't feel loving feelings, right? Because I didn't have these compassionate, empathic feelings. And I was surrounded, particularly in the church, with loads of amazing, compassionate, like pastoral women. And they were and I just felt nothing, And so I felt really deeply ashamed of that. But then I thought I was defective. I thought I was a failure, really, as a woman. And then when I started learning about the extreme male brain stuff, I was like, well, like, I'm autistic. I'm not, I realized that I was just, I wasn't a man, I realized that I was just a rarer type of woman. And that was the key, really. That just unlocked everything, because, it was gradual. It was like the key turned and then the door opened really slowly, because I did move quite slowly into appreciating that. But it started to explain everything, because I was like, well, okay, I don't need to. I did try. I went for a few years of trying really hard to sort of be what I thought a woman should be. In terms of, some of it stood me in good stead now in terms of like helping people. But I took a lot of like lessons and training in like pastoral care, and so like I know the right things to do. Like if someone is in distress, or like I'm not, if someone is grieving or stuff. So I've learned actually a lot of practical skills, but it doesn't mean the feelings there. But anyway, another one of my elders, or pastors, same thing, at church, really helped me with that, because before I was diagnosed with autism, I went to him and I was saying, I feel really bad because I haven't got these loving feelings, and I want to be loving, and I want to, follow in Jesus' footsteps and, love people. But I don't feel these feelings. And he said, he basically said, you're, perhaps you could be the one person in a room where there's like a crisis and everyone else is overwhelmed by their emotions, and but you can be like see through it and be like really helpful in that situation and just use your gifts. And that really helped me. That really stuck with me, because I realized that I was trying to I was trying to be the opposite of what I was. And now I see actually that the love primarily isn't about feelings. Like any parent knows, or you have to be a parent, but you're a teacher. I think you mentioned it once or twice. And also, isn't your mum from Venezuela?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. What was I saying?
So
the love isn't necessarily about feelings, it's about actions, I'm guessing.
Well, not even necessarily, like, you can, this is a problem I think that we really just kind of messed up with over the last few years, that we think to be loving to someone is to just go along with everything they want. And, like, if you're a loving parent and your child wants, like, chocolate, like, just before bedtime or whatever, you just say, no, you can't have that. And that's being loving in the moment. And they feel like, you hate me or whatever, like you want me to die, or, but it's just like, you actually know what's best. And what you're doing is loving.